Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 702 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Lisa Engle. If you want to hear about supporting the chiropractic profession and her new book, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I have Lisa Engle coming on. We had her on as a guest before in 2018, episode 88, if you guys can believe it. Today's episode 702. So there's been quite a bit of stuff that I'm sure has happened in her life between the past episode and today. So we'll talk a little bit about what she's doing. She has a book that's out, Your Guide to Creating the Ultimate Chiropractic Experience. We'll talk about that. And how she's helping support chiropractic assistants, doctors of chiropractic, and patients. And she has a coaching program called OptiMOM. So we'll talk about that too. But before we get into all things Lisa Engle, we're going to talk to you a little bit about why we do what we do over here, which I think is essential to the conversation of chiropractic. That's why we open the same way every time. First things first is freedom of speech. We believe that that's so darn important to everybody. So we've never censored anybody. We've never done anything to make anybody's messages not come through as pure. We know what it's like to be shadow banned, traffic throttled, and censored, so we never do it to you. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things, but if you need guidance, find a chiropractor. If you need help, reach out to Lisa or myself. We'll help you. When it comes to the philosophical edge of chiropractic, which I think that we need to really lean into and teach more people about. Share this show with a chiropractic student, share this with patients, share this with anybody that might need chiropractic knowledge, share this with them. Because we do believe in protecting the sacred trust. Those are BJ Palmer's last written words. If you want to learn more about chiropractic, go to our show notes, click on that link to the sacred trust. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you ever did previously. I guarantee you, even if you've been a chiropractor for 30 years, go click on it and you'll reignite your passion for this profession. I'm certain about that. We do believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence and subluxation-based chiropractic. I know we shouldn't have to talk about this stuff, but they're removing it out of the schools. So once again, if you know a chiropractic student, share this show with them so they get philosophy. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, and that creates educated intelligence. And with that, this is episode 702. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me again, Jim.
Yeah. There's just so much that we talked about off camera that can help people, and being connected to chiropractic is a big part of that. And being fearless with what we do as non-chiropractors, helping people live the chiropractic lifestyle, I think is really essential. So maybe you can just jump in and catch people up to speed on your chiropractic life and how you got into this profession.
Well, it was in 1989, and I needed a job. And so that was quite honest. My stepfather, Philip, was a massage therapist and business partner with a chiropractor, and they had opened a clinic here in Atlanta. And that chiropractor talked him into becoming a chiropractor. And so he was in school, and I worked for about 1.5 years, 2 years before he graduated in 91. And then he became the sole proprietor, and we became seminar junkies. Just went out trying to figure out how to to run a practice and grow a practice. And my mom was a midwife and delivering babies, so we had a large pediatric practice. Went on to get pretty involved in our state association, but I totally drank the Kool-Aid and was all in. Went to seminars without my doc, hitched rides to other seminars with other practices that I'd met along the way, and in '95 went to the Centennial Celebration in Davenport by myself. My mom and Philip went to the one in Washington, and I went out to the one in Davenport. And it's been a ride. It's been a long ride.
Your family's grown some,
Mm-hmm.
and you help make sure that they're getting chiropractic as well.
Yes. So Philip passed away 2 years ago, and so I have a large community of chiropractors we're in Atlanta, so we have a lot of chiropractors, and have handpicked a few to take care of my people. So I have, depending on the technique and depending on the person, matched everybody up nicely and to ensure that we're all still under great care.
That's cool. I guess let's share a message to the chiropractic students, because I think that they're a group of people out there that need a lot of support.
Mm-hmm.
They might be in a little bit over their head with the profession, and they need some guidance. So what advice would you maybe give to the chiropractic students out there?
To touch the profession outside of school, to get into as many offices as possible and see the potentials, because you're going to be finding your voice, your expression, your innate and authentic expression of the profession. And that will evolve and change over time. But to find offices that resonate and learn from people that have been out in the field, to get out of the classroom and into the offices.
So follow up to that, you said to get into as many offices as you can, and to basically shadow and see what chiropractic clinics are doing. And then you said you picked different practitioners based on their techniques for the people in your family.
Mm-hmm.
How would you recommend a chiropractor, the student, to find the technique that's best for them?
Well, I think, again, taking different technique classes, but talking to different practitioners, but also talking to their patients about how they experience the techniques that those practitioners are using. I was very fortunate that Philip was, he was president of the Activator Club when he was in school, but he was a full spine diversified practitioner. But then he did BEST and he did TRT, and he added all of these tools along the lines, over the years, that depending on the patient that came in, could adjust them. He could pull out a whole bunch of different things. And at the end, I would say that it was a Philip technique. It wasn't somebody else's, right? So just for a student to find people that are masters at their trade and learn from them.
Well, there's science, philosophy, and art. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the really important thing for all chiropractic students to get integrated into, is to understand that they have to get philosophy. That's why we open up the show the way we do. But I was just at a biohacking conference over the weekend, and people asked me a lot of questions about chiropractic. And they were like, well, why does one do it this way and the other does it this way? And I go, well, the thing that you have to understand that I'll share with you today is that chiropractors are artists. They
Mm-hmm.
practice a technique, which is their art that they're performing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and find somebody that you appreciate how they practice and stick with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and you don't have to be with them for life. I was like, but find somebody that you can build a relationship with and you can trust. And if they are your practitioner for life, then stick with them. But
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the best thing to do is to make sure that you have a relationship with that practitioner.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that you bring up the science, philosophy, and art aspect of it. I was in Colorado at a conference with Quest, which was Guy Riekman and Joe Felicia back in the day. And he finished off, we'd been on the ranch and ropes course, and he finished off the day. We were exhausted with the movie, The Power of One. And he quoted the mentor as saying, he connected head and heart. And then his sort of like final line at the end to send us out the door was, and in chiropractic, we add hand. And of course, that's the science, the philosophy, and the art of chiropractic. And I wept so hard because I don't adjust. And I, at the time, was a single mom with 2 kids and wasn't going to take the time, energy, and money from my children to become a chiropractor. But what I landed with was, instead of delivering an adjustment, I deliver a chiropractic experience. So there's a role, there's a place for the art of chiropractic. It's more than what happens on the table. It is what happens on the table, and I do not take away from that at all. But it is more than that. The art of the expression of the profession is an art.
Yeah, and you said that you're connected with you're down there in Atlanta, and you've been in the profession many years now. What are you doing? I know you just wrote a book.
Yeah.
Tell us about the book, and then maybe share with us about what you're doing to stay connected to the chiropractic community.
Sure. Well, the book, I feel like, had about a 25-year gestation. I originally wrote an article about creating the chiropractic experience and knew that it would someday be a book, and I would kind of feel like I was in labor and it was going to be delivered, and then it wouldn't. And that happened. It was like false labors for decades. But finally in 2020, it was published on Amazon. It's self-published, and it's in Life University's bookstore. But it is about creating the ultimate chiropractic experience. And it is ultimate because it is the true, authentic expression of the practitioner, including the CA. Like, you want to create experience that patients want to have over and over and over again. I want to create experiences that staff want to stay in and stay in and stay in, and that doctors want to stay in and stay in and stay in. So making sure that we are creating experiences for ourselves that we want more of, as opposed to that place of burnout that so many people get when they just pour out, pour out, pour out.
Yeah, and helping CAs.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a part that I wanted to touch on with you too. Is how can your book support the chiropractic assistants to support the doctors better?
Well, it just brings attention to the power of the experience. That the interactions, that the really impactful experiences that a CA can have with a patient can be why that patient comes back. They may or may not have felt anything with the adjustment. We, of course, know that the adjustment did what the adjustment is intended to do. But people, depending on their varying stages of self-awareness, of physical awareness, spiritual awareness, there's layers, right, of developing that connection for people. And so I've seen the power of a CA that can say, you're worth taking care of. Good for you for doing this. I'm so grateful that you're here, and it be enough that that person feels loved, or that I didn't see you today, and I just want to make sure that you're okay. Not, you bad patient, you missed your appointment, but I want to make sure that you're okay. Oh my gosh, I'm fine. Thank you so much for calling me. Like just little things that can be done that really do make an impact for patients, and make the experience memorable, make it something that the patient wants to have again and again, and to develop the ownership of the power that they have, that they really do have such an opportunity to grow a practice, to be a part of something, the profession, the bigness of it. And I think that's one of the things that the doctors miss, is that they don't necessarily expose staff to how big it is. And so without the exposure of how important they are and how important this all is, the macro of chiropractic, there's a missed opportunity to empower and embolden the CA to be more involved.
Well, what you're talking about is advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more of that coming from not only the people that support the practice, but we need that from the people that are delivering the care.
Mm-hmm.
We need advocacy across the board, and we need it from the belief system of the patient also, because those are going to become the referral source for the growth of that practice. So I do believe that advocacy is a huge part of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at this point, I helped schedule on 11,000 new patients for chiropractic visits. And when I think about what you're talking about, when I think about what I've gone and done work to support the profession with, it has to be understood that most of the people would go to a chiropractor if they just knew where to go or who to trust.
Mm-hmm.
And the position of the people that work in that office, it's a really special job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worked in a clinic for 6 years. And I think when you think about the advocacy of the people that support the process of the journey from day one to the rest of somebody's life that works in a clinic, it's such a cool place for people to build relationships and to help guide people into good decision making. And to, like you said, the rest of the world doesn't do what chiropractor does. They're not checking on them as they're part of the community.
Mm-mm.
You know, the
When
people
they
that
leave,
come in, that they really matter. Like the people that come into a clinic, a chiropractic office, the staff know that that person is special and really matters.
yes, and if we don't make it sticky, like if we're not in their pocket when they leave, they're bombarded with everything except chiropractic. You know, when they walk out the door, whether it's in media or in family or in culture or in, you know, any of the entertainment or at their workplace, like we need to have left them with an impression, an imprintation, right? Like an imprint on their spirit of how loved they are, how important they are, how important their choice for care is. Not, I don't go to a chiropractor because I have to, I go because I want to, right? Like always empowering the patient to make it a choice.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Peach State Payments, Recover, Chiro HD, Softwave, Cool Blue BA, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting the sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Yeah, and see, that's just it. Is there's a lot of marketing dollars and a lot of less integrous businesses out there that are always doing whatever they can to sway public opinion and public appeal. And it's not chiropractic. And 9 out of 10 things out there are not chiropractic supporting. So we really have to do a great job in nurturing those relationships when people do come in and start getting care, because that's important.
Absolutely, it is. And being able to weave our work into what's out there. I don't know why this just came to mind, but I recall when Quest sort of went away and CLA became CLA, and Richard and Susan Barwell did a management group for a little while. And Richard talked about taking things that are out there and finding chiropractic in them, right? Like, and weaving the chiropractic story into other sort of normalized parts of the world. And so just being able to, whether it's using a drug ad to say they're looking at what's wrong, we're looking at what's right. Just flipping the narrative on what's out there is a way to take ourselves outside of the practice with the patient.
And throughout our conversation so far, you've done quite a bit of mention of people that have had impact on your career, different management groups, different influencers. Who have been some of your mentors that have helped you formulate the ideas that you have on the way that you carry out and the way you support chiropractic?
I think that there's too many to mention. I would, I really did. I would say I'm a recovering seminar junkie. I really did go to all of the seminars back in the day. And then when I started having kids again, I had 2 kids, single mom, remarried, had 3 more kids. And at that point, slowed down a little bit in terms of my involvement as far as traveling. I didn't speak around the country anymore. I just stayed local and taught for the GCC for about 17 years. So definitely my GCC people have always been near and dear for me. The LCW, that group of women are, amazing. I love seeing all of the leaders in that. And I love being able to connect to Selena Sigafus because her dad was the first philosophy night that I ever went to for the GCC. Chris Kent and Pat Gentempo. I used to joke that I've been scanning since Pat had hair, which if I say that now, the students don't know who Pat is. So the joke's old, but there's just been so many people that have expanded my understanding of this profession. I will say Sherry Hodge was a CA instructor at Parker and at Quest. And when I first started teaching for the GCC, I thought I had to be like Sherry Hodge, she's like 4'11" and platinum short hair and big high heels. And she makes us stand up and yell. And that's just not me. And that was part of my development of and really owning my authentic expression of the profession, right? Like that's not how I operate. And so I had to get really okay and clear with, well, then how do I operate? What is my expression?
Yeah, and I really believe that, there's a time capsule of how we behave and what we believe, and we see the narrative of what's out there. And there are different people that are going to come from decade to decade that are going to make their stamp on what this profession is and the narrative that's produced around it and the access that they start to put frameworks together for people to understand what the profession does and where it's going, And I know that that's a question that I have for us today too, is if you had a chance to look into a crystal ball and say, I'm 46 now. So let's say when I get 66, 20 years from now, where do you see this profession of chiropractic?
I gave some thought to this when you sent me the questions, and I would love, I hold a vision of a well world, right? And I think that chiropractic is an integral part of bringing that to fruition. I think that chiropractors are owning their role and their responsibilities in speaking the truth about innate intelligence, about the doctor within, about health comes from inside, about working with what's right and good, and expanding and generating fruition and growth in that. So I see that the profession is going to only continue to expand in its optimal, empowered, inspired expression.
So maybe in 20 years, I'll be a president of a chiropractic college.
There you go. I thought I was walking into a class at the Centennial that was for CAs, and I realized that it was the panel of all of the chiropractic presidents. And I had walked into the room front and center and felt silly to get up and walk out. So I just stayed and hung out and listened to them all talk. It was wild.
Yeah, there's definitely, I just went to the Chiropractic Congress event in Denver, and I had a chance to sit and listen to the way that the leaders of this profession are helping support the profession from outside in. A lot of the people there are not chiropractors. They're executive directors that come from big business world. And they're coming out there and they're supporting the profession as just people with a job.
Wow.
Like their job is to put on seminars and to get enrollment and to help support the profession, but they're learning from each other on how to do that as advocates. So, I sat in on some really interesting meetings with people too. And me being a non-chiropractor, I got a chance to see where they're forecasting this profession to go.
And what did they say?
I think that there's a huge responsibility still with repairing the pharmacological disaster that we've all been a part of, from the opioid crisis to supporting the military. I think that there's a huge responsibility that people are feeling right now to be a little bit more patriotic within the profession, because they know that we have a huge problem when it comes to the way that drugs have infiltrated our culture and hurt our communities. And not saying that chiropractic is the only thing that can help with that, but with RFK Jr. now being put into a position to be a leader for health and human services of our country, I think that there was a huge rally because that was the weekend that they announced his position. And I think that there's a huge belief that the next 4 years are going to be super prosperous for chiropractic because of the position that RFK Jr. has. So if we can just keep that momentum after an election cycle, and we can keep that going for, till I'm 66, I think that we have a huge win within chiropractic for your grandkids. I think we have a huge win in chiropractic for families. I think we have a huge win in chiropractic for the practitioners and the colleges. But we have to really capitalize and not fall asleep at the wheel, because there's never been a greater time, I think, within my timeline of 16 years in the profession, for chiropractic to actually network and develop into other verticals like longevity, and really give solutions to people when it comes to the big three, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, and find solutions on how chiropractic can work with those other doctors. I think we have to become more involved with not being separate, but being together when it comes to taking care of people. So I think that there's a huge responsibility that I learned over the weekend, that we have to work with the biohackers. Like chiropractic, I would say, is the original biohack when it comes to optimizing someone's nervous system. It's not a machine. It's not a pill, a potion, or a lotion. It's the adjustment that restores functionality and the connection of the nervous system to the organ system, the glandular system. Like, that's the part where I believe that chiropractic has done a really great job of building a base. But I believe that we have to learn how to not let other people steal that from chiropractic, but to stand by side and say, look, this is chiropractic and we'll work as a collective, rather than us shooting each other. Like, we don't have to play Russian roulette with other practitioners.
Right.
Like, we can all work together.
I have noticed in my 35 years at this point, 35 years at this point, looking at the collaboration of offices to bring awareness of the profession to their community. It's not a competition. Whereas in the past, say 30 years ago, I experienced it more as, you get yours, I'll get mine. And, we're going to just hold on to ourselves just like this and keep it, to your chest and not share your secrets about what works and what doesn't work, or, those kinds of things. Whereas now I feel like there's been much more of a embracing of the whole. There was I think it was DeMartini, maybe 30-ish years ago, talking about embracing the whole. And it for me, it let it sloughed off the resistance of not loving the people who were practicing in a different philosophy than me. Like it let me love them too, and appreciate that somebody who's practicing significantly different than we chose to practice is still showing up to adjust,
Well, I think what you're saying is so true. This is the age of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And there can't be I'm right and you're wrong type methodology.
Yep.
And it has to be, this is good for people and let's not get people sick.
Yep.
And if that was like the real like Hippocratic oath that all doctors like agree to once they finish their degrees, then they should collaborate a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And they should stop the pharmacological influence of controlling the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It should be people first.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's what I picked up on, is that there is a definite drive, politically even,
mm-hmm.
to put people first again.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
I believe that if we can come to that term, then chiropractic has like the golden age in front of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was at a dinner last night with 3 doctors, and one of them's younger, newer, and she had been on a pre-med track and ultimately came to chiropractic and is practicing and thriving and philosophically, right there. She's great. But she reached out to one of her pre-med contacts who's now in his residency and was just saying, hey, this just happened in our office. And I just wanted to tell you about it because it's so powerful. And this happened like right after his adjustment. And, and the doc was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So just making those connections and keeping that going to just keep sharing what's happening in our offices and what's happening, the potentials of what can be happening for people.
That's why we do this show.
Yeah.
It's to share the story of chiropractic, and I believe that if we all collaborate more and we all have resources of truth, like, see, that's another thing too, is like so many people don't know where to go to for something that is believable anymore.
Right.
Because
right.
I feel like like I said, opiate stuff. Now we talk about the scamdemic stuff. And I feel like a lot of people out there really have like an aversion from the medical profession as a whole, because they don't, the public perception is you guys lied to us.
Right. Well, that's with the coach work that I do. Primarily I work with mothers because I am a mother. I have 5 kids and my mom had 5 kids and my mom was a midwife. And so it's like my first language. But moms are so overwhelmed and anxious because there's so many contradicting things out there, right? Like, so for that, and both things can be true even, right? For what's true for you versus true for your neighbor, it can be very different and right for each of you. But until somebody gets like in themselves what's true for them, then it's very difficult to make a choice with any kind of confidence, and really getting back to that place of teaching patients and remembering ourselves to trust that wisdom within, right? Like that you are equipped with such powerful wisdom within.
The body needs nothing extra and it simply needs no interference. And I believe that people that get to know me know that I'm going to give them good, sound advice, but not everybody knows who I am. So You're right. The people that are looking for the answers sometimes have to look within themselves. And that's why I open up the way I do. If you're looking for family health freedom and medical freedom, you have to go find a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people I believe that are going to be your advocates to giving you advice on what to do for your body. They're the doctors, okay? Not me, not the
Right.
podcast guy, not the new patient specialist guy. Like I can help people and guide people, but when you're getting like sound, like medical advice for you and your family, go see a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
Go find somebody that is interested in the development and the health of your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something we all have to come to terms with. But I appreciate you being on with me today, Dr. Lisa. I almost said doctor.
I know. I get it all the time.
I know we put it in our email too by accident.
Yeah.
If there was anything we could close out with today, anything that you want people to know, what would that be?
That you are brilliant and wise. Jim is too, but all the listeners, it's just staying connected to what's really true inside of you, and in integrity to the authentic expression of your life, your practice, and delivering experiences that you want to have again and again and again, and being really intentional in creating your world. Like I said, I live in my little land of Lisa, but it's a very intentionally created, micro to the macro of, where it's boots on the ground and how you want to live your life. So just staying in integrity and authentic to the expression of who you be.
And Lisa, if people want your book or they want to work with you, where do we send them to for those resources?
Well, Lisa Engle, with an ENGLE .coach has links to OptiMOM coaching, to Amazon where the book is, and then the clinic story, but then also has a contact page. So it has a little bit of just the logistics of my background in the 36 years that we were Atlanta Natural Health Clinic.
Well, Lisa, thank you for being our guest today. If you guys want to reach out to her, work with her, read her book, get her OptiMOM coaching, go to Lisa Engle with an E .coach, and that has all of her links that you'll need. Love and appreciate you, Lisa. Thanks for being on with us today.
You too. Thank you so much, Jim. Really appreciate your work.
Yeah, and I'll close out like I always do. This is episode 702 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast, and you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.